Hi, everyone. Hi, Anand. Hi, Tomal. Thank you so much for this. Jai Bhim to all of you. So I think I'll start, Anand, with a sort of grand tour autobiographical question. I saw you shake your head when Laura said, I'm sure you'll talk all about those 16 years that you left Carnatic music and you didn't sing it. Maybe I'll ask you to speak about that because maybe it's a good starting point to hear about in those 16 years, what else did you hear? What else did you sing? Did you sing at all? And what sounds did you encounter in those 16 years? And how did that bring you back to Drupad?
There's a set of questions. I thought I'll anyway pick this because if I spoke about this when I was singing, it would be thoda besur, so to say. So besur is off scale or off pitch. Um, to tell you about my journey with music, it's like since childhood I used to take any Ilayaraja song. I'm not a natural singer, so it's work. So my sa was never correct. I never felt it. Sure, and it would change by the time I started Rafi's song somewhere, and I didn't know you sing with a tanpura or with a reference to a certain point. I had no idea there was something called a reference point. Today I'm talking about the sa of equality. Why is it the sa of equality? Yesterday when we said sa, everybody could hum it, but I wasn't very sure. So I was taking any song. One of the first songs they sang was Anney Anney Sippay Anney நம்ம ஊரு நல்ல ஊரு இப்போ ரொம்ப கெட்டு போச்சுன்னே இத சொன்னா வெக்க கேடு நான் சொல்லாட்டி மான கேடு oh, oh, oh. So something no need of time for you sing, and I used to sing it in school as probably that's the first time I decided to go, and then I did a brother brother, and I was a translator already, so we did brother brother soldier brother kind of still literal bad translation, but still it worked because I liked the sound, so I went with it, and I was like a child asked to perform, so I performed. But by the time I was 16 or 17 and I was killing more songs, literally killing them, mauling them. Killing has two meanings, right? So one is like doing it well is also called killing, but I'm like the other killing here. So I would go sing Rafi's song in a college competition, and once I got a prize for being enthusiastic. So you'll get there, but you're not there, but he'll give you a special prize. So I said, okay, special prize. No, it's called special prize. I didn't get a consolation. They called the consolation was it being called special, I think. So it went on like that. I had no sense of awareness of caste and what is all this. So I was raised in a Tamil Brahmin displaced Hyderabadi family. Okay, and then all you know is their world, and you get out and speak nako, kaiko, badako, and the Hyderabadi slang that I knew was all there is, and there was a complete disjuncture. And then Ilayaraja comes into your life through this. And I didn't know anything. We had one Bonium cassette in our house. I didn't grow up with books or with music, to be very frank. So I find myself a publisher, growing up in a house which is like, going a middle class, low middle class to middle class transitioning family, which they blind you literally as to this is what it is. So for me to learn music was at the age of 17 when my mother dragged me to a music teacher. My mother had to wait for us to literally fly the coop so that she can pursue music. And then I had only about 7, 8 years ago, I asked her the full story. Why did she break? So she had a little Veena after she got married at the age of 17 and a half, 18. Father said, no, shut down, this, everything. This is all what low caste Tevidiyas will do, kind of. That's the attitude. In fact, they would even talk of M.S. Subbalakshmi, the great singer, as a prostitute. Yeah. This is Brahmin arrogance for you. So I was raised in that, thanks to all this I am out. So that is the context in which I learned Carnatic music for 6, 7 years with 3 gurus in Hyderabad. And then by the time I'm 24 and there's a marriage, a love story, I'm not going into all that. So I had to break away from my parents. There was a bhang. There was no abhang in my life. Only bhang. I was breaking one thing after other, and including my tanpura one day at the age of 24, 25 in Chennai. People said, go there and become a great singer. No, I went there and then I completely lost music, so to say. But I heard everything that was possible. Jazz, blues, I became a Charlie Parker fan, I became Miles Davis fan, I became anybody's fan. I used to love this song by Mary Jean and Wycliffe that someone called please call 911. And I was, I don't know how many of you remember this song. Yeah, someone please call. That was your favorite. So I heard anything and everything, Bob Marley, whatever. Nusrat became a thing. And then one day neighbor lent me a cassette of Drupad, Amrita Varshini being sung by Fariduddin Dagar Sahab, my ancestor now. I trace my lineage. I would happily become Ananduddin if possible. So then it made me pause. Oh, I had given up on Carnatic for many reasons. The lyric, everything was so Brahminical. Tyagaraja, Dikshidhar, all of it. I just said, this is just, I'm not signing up for this. The contempt for women, contempt for Dalits, and the kind of Ramrajya that he says. Let me be your monkey by your feet. Why should you be the monkey at anybody's feet? So for me, everything that he did, the picture portrait of Raja Ravi Verma, kind of a story of Ramayana, which was going on, and Dikshidhar's Sanskrit mumbo jumbo. I wanted to just throw the baby with the bath. I didn't read enough Ambedkar to do this even. I just said, this is it, I'm done. Then it came back through this kind of a little, and then I heard my guru first time. He didn't know I was in the audience at the back in Chennai once, now guru. And then I was kind of attracted to Hindustani, and I listened. I listened extensively over, especially after moving to Delhi in 2007, and before that too. But after moving there, it was an atmosphere. I was so happy to be in Mughal India, away from the Dravidian South. I don't have a sense of belonging to any language, home or anything. So, kahin dal do, I'll try to learn what is there. So I really found myself now at home in Delhi, where I found a guru. I started as an autodidact. One of the publishing stories involved an artist I was working with told me, why are you not singing? You seem to be able to sing. I said, no, all this Brahminical stuff I gave up. He said, you're an idiot. You should get your head checked. Go home and buy a Tanpura when you go back to Delhi. We were on a writer's residency. He's the artist, I'm the writer. We were together jamming and finding a way. And we were listening to Bhimsen Joshi and Venkat, the artist, Venkatraman Singh Sham. He could imitate Bhimsen or anybody like, he will do something. It will be in sur. He could helplessly sing well. I had to make the effort. So after moving to Delhi is when I reconnected with music, and it took me about 4 more years to find a guru, because I thought I had only one chance to find a guru. I'm 50 now, and I'm talking about I found him at 44, 45. It's been 5-6 years. So I thought I need the right guru or too late. In fact, some people said, don't do Drupad, is the most, why are you after Drupad? I said, it's abstract. It's complete, I can do without words, and I have a problem with words. And after I learned 5-6 Kumar Gandhar sang Kabir bhajans, I thought, that's it, my world is over, I don't know anything more. Then, you realize there's so much wonderful poetry in this country in so many languages, which is never sung. Then one thing led on, sitting and annotating Ambedkar. So, Navyana, some people say this or that. There's no this or that. This infuses that. So, my practice of music now informs how I try to edit, probably with greater care. And working in and around Ambedkar made me go to Buddha or to Kabir. Kabir was a natural attraction because he's in song, but then I realized all of them are in dialogue in some way. Sorry, long answer to that because I have to compress 30 years, 20 years. Yeah.
It's a long time. That's a long answer, but it leads me to the question of how did you find Ambedkar?
How did Ambedkar find me? It all started with little kind of brushes, not really a serious engagement. Because when I was in Central University of Hyderabad, which I hope eventually will be called Rohit Vemula University, so I was a student there from 1993 to 1997, and that's the year in which the Ambedkar Student Association was formed. I wasn't part of any of that, but one saw in the campus and the politics that was there that this was the question that was the most uncomfortable question to ask. And for me, personally, more than anything, falling in love with a person not from my caste and having to tell my parents about it, all these were very difficult things. And then when I turned to Ambedkar in terms of answers, it was there. Even when I had to get this registered, I didn't really have a wedding. To register a marriage, you have to go to a place. And then there is a Special Marriage Act, and then you come to know intercaste marriage was not allowed in this country. There had to be a Special Marriage Act. So my approach to Ambedkar itself was a bit tangential, personal, so to say. And yet he didn't loom as a figure like for a Dalit, say, growing up with Ambedkar in Maharashtra or in other parts of the country now. Since I'm talking about my age group of... and that really was the beginning. And then only as a journalist, after I gave up singing Carnatic, is when I ordered a set of Baba Saheb Ambedkar writings and speeches from published by the Maharashtra government, but it came from Daily Blue Moon books by something obsolete now called VPP, Value Paid Post. Yeah. So that was my... And in the Hindu, I had so much time. Hindu was a place where any Tamram could walk in and get a job, and shamefully I also did that because it was not much of an option when I was in Chennai. I quit Express. I was almost sacked from Express for writing an anti-Brahmin article, and then I went and embraced Mount Road Mahavishnu is what it's called in Hindu. So I was there, and that's when I started reading Ambedkar, the volumes.
So Baba Saheb Ambedkar says in The Annihilation of Caste, he makes a distinction between rule and principle, and that's something that you also mention in the Navayana website as well, as sort of the introduction to Annihilation of Caste. So since we're thinking and talking about music today, I was thinking about this distinction between rule and principle, right? Rule is something that he attributes to the mess that is Hinduism, right? Hinduism is governed by a set of social rules, economic rules, rules around purity, pollution, and we might say cultural rules as well, certain norms that you don't question. And then a principle is something that's conscious and responsible, and it's through that we see social change as possible. So to come back to your sort of brief dialogue about Raga, and you gave up on Carnatic music, but you see Raga as bigger than that, right? And in Carnatic music, often Raga becomes rule. Raga becomes this sort of den of purity, that there's a certain exposition, even the production of voice, there are certain rules that govern it, those are gendered. There are so many ways that even that's segregated by gender. And so I wonder how you think about Raga as principle, perhaps, in your own practice, and what is it about the conscious or responsible practice of Raga that produces social, musical change through your own practice?
Okay. To me, over the years, it's taken a while and I still haven't figured out all the answers. It's not possible. So one of the things that the Raga became to me after I reconnected with the Tanpura, and I was quite, I would say, callow in just saying, I'll buy a Tanpura, then I'll start singing. I didn't like using the electronic thing and seeing if I can sing with the sa or the... I said, if I can't tune the Tanpura, then I have to buy the Tanpura. You can't take somebody's Tanpura. And I'm unknown, nobody knew me. So for me, the first joy was, I think, those years of listening. For me, even now, I believe my Ustad Sahib doesn't teach me to sing. He teaches us to listen first to the sound that is, because much of it is listening. And unless you listen to this, you cannot be with it, right? You cannot merge with it. So that is kind of a rare thing, because bird doesn't have to merge with anything. It sings, or a frog, or a donkey, or anything. All of them are in their own way in sur. No animal, no other creature is... Ants sing, I recently found out. We don't hear them, but ants are singing. So how do you, when you open up your mind to the fact that this is possible, then the Raga is like another tree. Does Raga have caste? Is Raga Brahminical? No, it's like saying a tree is Brahminical, or even a building is Brahminical. No. It can be built in a particular way. You can claim a tree and then say, this is a Brahminical tree, and then put some stuff to it and claim it. People do. People take elephants and put one kind of namam on it, another kind. This is a... Within Brahmins, they will fight over what kind of a... And I've seen an elephant with 786 also on it, even Allah on it. So that was from a dargah. I was at an elephant camp in Teppakad in Tamil Nadu. So you saw all kinds of communal elephants there. And there were all kinds of rules about which could sleep with who. It was very, very bizarre. So humans do all this. So with Raga, You cannot, the Navyana logo is about two buffaloes which are from different castes kissing each other. Buffaloes have castes. So the way the Brahminic ideology operates is you'll cast everything. So like you were right, in Carnatic music they'll say Ghana Ragam, these are the big ragas. And a very important person who writes on music called Rajan Parikkar, whose website I often consult, he'll say Kshudra Prakriti ragas, like little ragas. The word used is Kshudra Prakriti. Khamaj is a Kshudra Prakriti raga. That is a Kshudra Prakriti raga. And it's not Shudra, it's Kshudra, which means less. It's another variation of Shudra. You can quibble over it if you want. So this is the way in which ragas are seen, not just here. And then this whole business of, I was telling him earlier, everything is folk. Everything is from people. And then these are structures which are independent of your thinking. There are so many ragas which we don't sing. Most people sing 60 to 70, are happy with it. You read Catherine Schofield and her book. Back then, a halfway decent musician who went around singing, he or she, and a lot of them were women, had to know 1,000 ragas. And some 5,000, 6,000 compositions. I'm trying, I want to get there. Why not? So if it's a structure of thought, then can your mind go there? What are the ragas which have two rishabs? Very few. Why are they not there? Can you make them? Can you make them sound good? So these are things, it's like math, it's like these other sciences, other things develop. Whereas music in our country is like, oh, mine is older than yours. Then I say, I'll sing Buddha, I'm older than all of you. like really, if this is a contest, then this is not a contest. I can sing a lyric like I was singing earlier, no? I go Chicago to say hello. Hello, hello, why go Chicago? Why go Chicago to say Bihar? The same I sent you, and then I was listening to it. I was lying down on the bed and singing this. So I'm saying, why go to Chicago to say hello? So if you are open to the idea that I earlier was saying English, you cannot sing raga. But this particular line has too many vowels, so it suits. Go, Chicago, say hello, oh, ah, ah, ah. So it's possible that all these things, the baggage of theory, which is mostly Brahmin men sitting in class, whether it is Venkatamaki from 16th century to Bhatkande in the north, all these Brahmin men, and he called himself Chatur Pandit. He wrote reviews of his own book praising it. Brahmins are capable of that. Don't get ideas, academics are all here. Or do it. Write your own obituary also in the process. Good.
So you've been speaking about language as well. And I'm curious about how you think of language, sound, music, all kind of on the same spectrum. And I've heard you say also that alap is kind of nirgun, it's formless, right? And then you introduce lyrics. You introduce lyrics that are not always your own, sometimes your own, I imagine as well. So at what point does language come into the picture? How does it interact with your understanding of sound? And what kinds of sounds do you take inspiration from in the world around you?
In the last 2 years, I've been reading extensively on sound. It started somewhere, I can't remember, reading also naturalists on, and Bernie Krause, who lives not far from here, he's 82, California, I think. He was a sound recordist for Hollywood movies, and he did this book called The Great Animal Orchestra. I think I read it last year. And I take a lot of walks. Where I live now is in Mehrauli, which is in Delhi, a suburb of one of the oldest settlements in Delhi, full of Mughal monuments. I don't think they have enough hammers to bring all of them down. They'll try. But that's a place where you'll run into a nilgai, birds, and the rustle of grass, just the soft sound it makes. All these, like now. So all these you can learn. In relationship to what is that? And then independent of this, what are the sounds you hear? There's never any proper silence in this world. We can't bear it if it's actually very quiet. We'll go mad. So sound for me is something that I'm learning, it's transforming. It's like if you're open to all these possibilities, then 1,000, what, there could be 10,000 ragas possible as far as I'm concerned. Because all these are there. And you can never say, I created this raga. The raga is there. It's a structure. It's like saying, I created a star. You can't. Or I created a flower. No, you can't. They're there. You didn't see it. And it's not an important flower. Rose is important. Okay, fine. So we do this because we are humans. We do this to everything. An elephant is a great thing. A donkey is not. Why not? Donkey is so important. If I can sing, I relate to it, right? As a person. I was told you're a buffalo, you can't sing when I started learning Carnatic music. Yeah. MD Ramana, then voice. You can't, your voice is not even, and it's not even in sur. So for me, it's not, some people are natural singers, some people are not. So when you're not, you have to pay work all the, my ustad immediately knows that. I told him, no, I find it, I know your place. I know what you are more than you know. That's the guru you need, no? I know what you want more than you know. So finally I found somebody who could align, somebody needs to bring this alignment in you to a certain thing. That's the word I used with him in the last class, which was a Vairagi before I came here.
So much of Drupad is also in the sort of melodic mode, and then there's, the rhythmic part with the jod and all of that. And then sometimes there's pakwaj as well and all of that. So I'm curious about how you think of percussion specifically, and so much of quote-unquote folk music includes percussion. It includes a certain sort of concerted singing effort. Everybody joins in, percussion keeps the beat, whereas Drupad feels more like a solo sort of activity. So how do you make sense of the sort of collectivist sort of imagination of music, of collective singing versus Drupad? And also, who do you imagine as your audiences for this kind of performance? I mean, are we the sort of ragtag crew that you imagine?
For me, actually, I'm usually keen on, I've sung maybe 6 or 7, 8, not more than 10 for sure, public concerts, so to say. And so far, without a pakhavaj. So as you saw, I use this in a percussive kind of way sometimes, and that came out of a need to have a percussion at home, and I don't like that digital tabla or whatever, tuck, 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 it goes on. So it's like, it has no heart, it has no sense of, because nobody, the best of players or singers, are going to keep the same tempo from beginning to end. That's where emotion, one of the meanings of the word rag is color, emotion, affect, all these things. That's where you sometimes pick the pace and then you wind down towards the end. So all these percussive part is important, and Drupad literally means that which is fixed, and it's the lyric, the pada, Dhruva Pada, right? So for me, then even this is a fixed lyric, right? But I edited it, as I said, with Buddha Sutta. So the percussion is important. So far, I've not had an opportunity other than there was a chance of getting a percussionist and also not many people have budgets now. And there's not a pakhavaj player. And I have not really, to admit truth, I haven't sat and trained with a pakhavaj player yet, other than having been on the Tanpura with my ustad and witnessed a lot. One day it might happen, but I'm not that keen on it. I don't see it as a for me, this is not for me a professional performer tag is not what I'm looking for. So I used a Morchang artist in Shantiniketan. So he came all the way, and he thinks I should do more, I should professionalize myself, have an Instagram account, and also sign up with Indian Council for Cultural Relations. He means well. He said, come on, you and I can go around the world. And it was very nice to have a Morchang player from Rajasthan. And we bonded over half an hour, that's it, and then we were on stage. I really enjoyed that new sound, because I felt I'm doing this with a string, and he's also, Morchang is this, it's got many names and they're all problematic. It's also called a Jew's harp. I don't know why. So you put it into your mouth and then twang it. Used in Carnatic also. Nothing about our music is indigenous, by the way. Nothing. The Tanpura comes from Zanzibar, wood comes from here. The whole concept of a tambour is not unique to Vedic culture or any such thing. These things have evolved. Just as much as our music is really modern. Except that at a point we decided not to let it grow. In terms of percussive things, I haven't explored much. Yes, I would like to sing with others, jam with others, groove with others when the opportunity presents. I'm open to any kind of a thing.
And then the last question I asked was about the audiences that you
Audiences,
imagine.
yeah. So one audience was a public library called Khidki in Khidki. There's a public library there. It's our mostly children, Afghan migrants. I was singing a Qawwali there also. And with my Ustad's principal student sitting in the audience. I said Kutro Ka. So it was a mixed audience of people who had never heard anything like Raga music. I began, because it was an Afghan crowd, with Rumi in Bhairav and all kinds of things. So I've so far felt comfortable with anybody who wants to listen. I don't have hang-ups about whether the person knows a particular raga or not, or knows the raga structure or not. I think people can take joy in music without really knowing the grammar, structure and all those things. So in terms of the principles and rules, yeah, ragas also have rules. If you take an established raga, you can't. Shri is a very crooked raga, the one I was presenting. It's sometimes you can literally fall on your face with that raga. It will give you the slip. So, but you need to follow, it's an established grammar. So that is not wrong. It's like saying, this is what it is, this is the color, this is what you have to do. You want an aquamarine blue, this is what it is. So I have no quarrel with that. My quarrel is with why you would say, even the names of the ragas have been like this. So that's why when I sent you the last, I came up with something called a variation of Basant. I called it Ityadi Basant. I created a raga called Bormati because my wife tells me don't bore me all the time about ragas. So why don't we have fun names for ragas? Everything is like divinized. This is that god, this is that god. Raga Ragini. Mughals also did it. It's not as if the Mughals, it's just, what is Catherine Schofield talking about in her book? Sorry, we keep talking about this Mughals and musicians book. It's a very courtly culture. You don't get a sense of what Kabir was doing, what Lalon Fakir kind of people were doing, what others were doing in terms of ragas. So when people ask me, is this the right raga for Chokamela or for some Kabir thing or for somebody? Why are you sure Kabir was not a Drupadiya? 14th century, maybe he had time. He didn't have to sing like 6 minutes of Kumar Gandhar's fast songs. No, I'm just saying he could have sung for 1 hour, 2 hours. He's not saying doors closed now, doors open now. He's just singing to everybody. He's not behind any doors. So we need to open up our imagination to think, was a sutta rendered in raga style before? No. We have to bear witness to it now in the present. The past is something that is useful in certain ways.
On that note, this very poetic note, I'll open it up to questions from the audience.
A few minutes.
A few
for
minutes?
questions.
Okay, yeah. Should I bring you the mic?
There's a stand.
You can all come here, or if it can move the mic, it'll be faster. Oh, there.
Anybody wants to ask a question, we ask.
You have to come.
Since we're recording, we want to get it all documented, so if you want to come up and ask a question, that'd be amazing.
The question that I have is that, and this is from my ignorance about your Guruji.
And you are, if you don't.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Bhargavi.
Okay.
I actually recently started learning Drupad, and that's where the question is also coming from. So, when you started exploring this, like, say, confluence of, like, exploring other lyrics and, like, which is not, say, Shastriya and classical and traditional, how do you kind of interact either both with your Guruji but also the audience that listens, or like, you know, the maestros of, say, Drupad? Say, if you go with the Sutta and present it in an audience of people who have been practicing Drupad for years, what is the kind of reaction, but also what is your reaction to their reaction then?
Okay. So the first, so far my Ustad Sahab, Wasifuddin Dagarji, hasn't heard me live in a concert. When my so-called debut happened in Delhi 2 years ago, his sister and his nephew and a couple of others came, and all his students who were in Delhi. And I started with Jaunpuri, which is not sung by the others. At least you don't have it on YouTube, doesn't mean they don't sing it. My Ustad can sing Jaunpuri. He can sing anything he wants. That's why he's the Ustad. So, early days when I was learning and people know I'm twanging this in a guitar. Guitar baja raha hai, kya baja raha hai tu? What do you think from it? And when I first time was offered a chance to play the Tanpura with him, he said, Tanpura chhedega tu? Kahan? Apni tarah ya your own? No, Ustad sir, for you I will do as you require. So it was a test. He just gave me the Tanpura and said, play, tune it, play. 2-hour Yaman class, I remember that was. And I played, I said, are you happy? I think, yeah, of course. Initially I was playing it like a quite regular kind of fashion. So, even here. So for me, it's like saying, Ye thana thaat tambure ka, Kabir's lyric. So the Tanpura, they'll say this is the best place to get the sound. Suppose you use this and so, why is this not saying sa? Oh, that's why you don't tweak it, but so I've heard from other students, I don't know if this is being recorded, and my Ustad Sahib has told them, I know what he is doing, let him do it. So he's said to accept, because the reports come back to you. And with me again, I had a class with him in Bairagi. I said, what am I presenting? I'm singing one of his favorite rags, Bairagi, in the evening. So he heard this lyric, which I presented to you. And maximum you can get as an approval from him is a nod, and that's more than enough for me, for now, and forever. So I haven't really pushed the envelope in terms of trying to say, is there a conflict here? Is there? No, so far I have not had to face this dilemma. So I'm happy that I have his, you can call it blessings, approval, any word you want, consent, or there is no direct, we have not had a difference of opinion. He once told me, tu to Jai Bhim wala hai. Because one of the first things I did was sing Jai Bhim in Malcons and launched a book called Beef Brahmins and Broken Men. So I go give him this book called, I have published this book, Ustad Sahab, Beef Brahmins, Broken Men. So he knows. So it's not as if, and so what? I would say the problem is we have foreclosed these possibilities that any teacher or Ustad is not open to this. So when somebody wanted to write about the fact that even before I gave a concert, some Malini Nair wrote a piece in Scroll saying, I'm setting suttas to music. So I palmed her off. I said, no, I'm not, how will people know what I'm singing? You're coming to my house and listening to me. No, it's happening in your house, it's also good. I liked the idea because I wasn't really keen on saying, chalo, go announce yourself to the world. Then my Ustad Sahib, no, he said, I will talk to her. She said, I'll ask him whether you can give consent or not to be written about. So these are the kind of sideways ways in which I've discussed this with him, so to say. But I've presented all these things. Jaunpuri Kurundogai, which is a Tamil classic, from that one verse from Kurundogai. So here's a nearly 1800-year-old poem. Jaunpuri is created by a Muslim ruler, Sharki, Sultan Sharki, in 16th century, 15th century Jaunpur. That's why it's called Jaunpuri. And in their wisdom, very important people like Kishori ji and Kumar ji decided to do Ghar Wapsi for that raga, started calling it Jeevanpuri. Uska kya jata hai? Rag ka to kuch nahi jayega. Wo to Jaunpuri hi hai. So these kind of things have happened. So it's like I'm trying to do a very minor footnote kind of course correction here. I'm not a powerful person who's going to influence the way. But I wish younger people who are learning, instead of just saying this is tradition, this is it, is there a secular salvage that we can endeavor? I'm not using secular in the sense of laicity or any such thing here. But in terms of simply saying what is it, it's just a raga. And these are wonderful lyrics and lyrical traditions that we have, which are not sung. And they were very much sung. Kabir came to us not by books. Most of the vachanas, most of the abhangs, in all the languages, the poetry which is called bhakti and boxed under one thing, all these were sung and performed, much before they become Murti classic library books. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody here wanted to ask you. Withdrawn, because you have to, that's a long walk. Okay. You can ask from there, chalo.
Yeah, some of these techniques that you were using, the rhythmic
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your voice, is that
Part of the Drupad thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. So, but in terms of the playfulness of it, for instance, when you come to a note like, this is my Ustad Sahab's. He has made me, he's saying, soft, soft karo, or soft karo, or soft karo. I tend to be a little, when I go up, I tend to be brash and high. And if you want to create fear, you can create fear also. He also does it. His gamaks are like, he's a terrific singer when it comes to certain aspects. So his voice modulation abilities, if you listen to him, just Google his name. Wasifuddin, by the way, is not Wasifuddin. Wasifuddin Dagar. No, people get it Tamil. Everybody calls him Wasif, but it's Wasifuddin Dagar. Fayaz Wasifuddin Dagar. So if you look him up on YouTube and listen to, I would say start with the same Bihag from New York from 2001, I think. You will see it so beginning so softly, and then you will see all kinds of modulations. And so that's the way it is. So you can actually sometimes do away with the lyric completely in Drupad. And people do. When Bahauddin Dagar plays his Rudra Veena sometimes, and he doesn't even have a percussionist, he plays the raga, gets up and goes. Over, bye. So no question of controversy around what lyric you have chosen to sing. And with the instrument, what is it? How do you communicate the lyric? Unless it's established, unless you know your familiarity. And much of this repetitive mode into which we have got is also about familiarity. You come to a concert, oh, you're singing Dikshidhar, Kamala Mam Bajare. Okay, good. It is Kalyani. And I can keep talking because I know this anyway. Somebody introduces a new thing. Yeah, people in concerts end up discussing many things other than listening to the music. So for me, it was this thing. And most of the musicians who sing, and especially Carnatic, don't understand any of the lyrics that they sing. It's in Telugu, it's in Sanskrit. Somebody tells them, including top, I don't want to name names, people who think they know, just more, especially since I know Telugu. Oh my God, kind of violence it's done, even if it's to Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja is a musical genius, so is Dikshidhar. But in terms of what the lyrical value of those things and what is the charge of those lyrics, that is the problem. So you get into this repetitive mode because you shut the doors to not just other people, but to ideas as well, and to any kind of growth. So people who end up making new compositions also write on Ambal, Devi, because that's what sells. That's what is accepted. So even the great Mangalampalli Balamurali Krishna wrote imitative lyrics. He wasn't reinventing the wheel. Or maybe he was just reinventing the wheel. The same stuff. Anybody else? Oh, there, yeah. Srimali.
Yeah, thank you, Anand, for doing this.
Yeah, come here.
Yes, JV, and
JV to you
Mom.
too, thank you.
Thank you for performing this and putting Bakeri's Baba Saheb and Buddha's photo here. I'm curious, you talk about music and also how you are trying to make it secular and Ambedkarite in putting this words and language, you said, into the music. But I'm also curious about the culture, this music is also passing this Brahmanical culture with that, talking about Guru or talking about or bragging about Guru a lot, and also touching feet of feet of Guru, and whenever they say Ustad, they say this.
Yeah.
Touch
I'm learning to
these
do
gestures.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious about how do you see as antique as an Ambedkarite in this musical Brahmanical culture? How do you see yourself, and what insight you want to share with us?
Yeah. So, couple of things. I was when I first went to a guru, people close to me, including the person I'm married to and live with and love, she said, "Will your head bow to somebody?" In a sense of, this is not about really feet touching or bowing your head. It's about the ego and the kind of sense of self that you have figured it out. So how I said, for music I have to do this, there's no other choice, I'll do this. Then I have been thinking, because most of the lyrics that I'm singing, you're talking about Ambedkar right now, what do you do with Kabir? Every other thing, whether you listen to Prahlad Tipania or Fariduddin Ayaz or any of these, this is not Brahminical. So there is an entire section in, there's a book of mine coming out called the Not Book of Kabir, Not Book. And there is a long tirade against gurus in that. And the way we have, Varnana, annihilation of caste, what does it begin with? Why have you called me to this conference? Because you will disinvite. He anticipated the disinvitation. He said, Varnanam Brahmano Guru. So says Manusmriti. And for you, only a Brahman can be a guru. So my Ustad is not a Brahmin. He doesn't practice Brahminism at all. It's from him that I learned the Saw of equality. So I bow to him for the knowledge that he has. Now a lot of these Ustads and Mughal era musicians, did they Brahminize themselves? Yeah, to an extent they did, in terms of what is, because why did they do all those Ragini paintings which are full of God? Why did they accept the names? So with music you kind of let go, and you kind of, so what is this compromise that you strike? There are no easy answers here. Is the form itself Brahminical? Not at all. Don't give up on it by saying it's Brahminical. It's like saying chess is Brahminical, or maths is Brahminical, or particle physics is Brahminical. No, not at all. These, and I'm not saying this is pure science what I'm doing, but I'm saying this is just another thing that if you apply, it's like carpentry. My Ustad Sahib says classical is that which you keep doing over and over and over and over again, and it is refined. So especially for somebody who's not a naturally, I can sing. I've taught students, children, who are way better singers than me. Right? It's so easy to find so many people who can sing well. But do they stick to it? Will they stick to it? Do they have the opportunity? Some of these kids from really backgrounds where there's no way they would have ever heard something called Raga music. They sing so well. How? So for me, this thing of, and then I would reprimand sometimes. Somebody will say, "Arey, Ustad Sahib," and they say, "Ustad, pair cholo." Somebody else will say. So it becomes you're right in saying, what is this pair chona business, which is a blind kind of a gesture. But then once you realize why you're doing it, if it come to terms with it, and Gurudom in, not just here, of course in America loved all the gurus who came from there, and they set up shops here and it became big, yoga guru, and the kind of rampant sexual abuse you see up to the Gundechas. It's just some are known, some are not even known. It's like 9 out of 10 times it's assumed that the guru has the right to abuse you. And it happens, it's not reported. Today's times we are hearing these reports. So yes, the institution by itself, it's like we can't dismiss the fact that we need a good teacher. Not just in music, a good teacher, good mentor, somebody who helps you, somebody who guides you, and then tells you this is the way to think. Then you may come out and think in a different way, and that guru is not going to, at least in my case, I haven't had an issue for thinking. And there is actually no premium on thinking under a guru, usually, normally. But I've been lucky. So you do what I've said and do nothing other than what I've said would be the norm. But I haven't had that experience. And why does guru become such an important figure, especially for Kabir, who actually is rejected by Ramanand? So they write that story. I don't think Kabir went to any Ramanand. I don't think Eklavya went to any guru. He's living in the forest, he knows for archery. This story they come up with. So I won't say that gurus are totally unnecessary, but the way it is, yeah, we need to question that. Not just as Ambedkarites, as anybody, any thinking person would. And Ambedkar for me gives I've been asking myself this question too. What is this new aesthetic that I'm trying or seeking? I would call it an Ambedkarite aesthetic, because it's not, I won't call it a Dalit, I'm not a Dalit person. But Ambedkarite becomes a mode of thinking about something. And breaking and remaking. So I wouldn't have come this far to sing to you, not in terms of the distance, I'm saying in my life. So had it not been for this conjuncture of, and how do I reconcile these two? That has been my learning process. Earlier I thought there's going to be a clash. When I started formally learning, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? And I surrendered to this sound. And then it showed me the way. Then it gave me your earlier question about how do you mix, match, and do all these things. So yeah, English, Alex in my office, editor, keeps saying, English, you should sing in English. Done something like, Baba Sahib Have you any sheep? Have you any sheep? People say this, people can take offense to this. I meant it in the sense of Moses and the shepherd, and being a shepherd is in that positive sense. But in India, you can think it's a derogatory word, it seems. So I was afraid of singing this anyway. I'll sing it a bit and we can. Any more questions? Baba Sahib, Baba Sahib, have you any sheep? Have you any sheep? 500,000 people, 500,000 people, beautiful, wonderful, Baba Sahib, Baba Sahib, have you any sheep? Have you any, have you any, have you any sheep? 500,000 people, 500,000 people, wonderful, beautiful. Thank you.